Hey, everybody. Try that again. Self-Publishing Podcast, episode number 105.
This episode of the Self-Publishing Podcast is brought to you by 99 Designs, the online marketplace that helps you get outstanding book cover designs at an affordable price. Start your custom design today at 99designs.com/SPP and enjoy a free Power Pack upgrade valued at $99.
Welcome to the Self-Publishing Podcast, where if you want something done right, you've got to do it yourself. And now, here are your hosts, three guys who are down with OPP, Johnny, Sean, and Dave.
Hey, everyone, and welcome to the Self-Publishing Podcast, the podcast that's all about how to get your words out into the world without contending with agents, publishers, or the other gatekeepers in traditional publishing. I'm Johnny B. Truant, and my co-hosts are Sean Platt and David Wright. I have that so... The cadence is the same, the vocal inflection is the same, starting to feel like a robot.
That's so funny that you say that. I was just thinking that, because I was just taking a drink, and I said, I bet if I went back to the last 10 episodes, I bet you I take a drink during that opening every single time. I bet you I do. We have our ticks, and we repeat them every week.
The best.
Well, yours isn't a tick. Actually part of the show.
I drink the entire show.
The best tick is when I mute you guys. I start the show, and you guys immediately start some sort of chatter. That was my favorite. I'm like, YouTube can probably hear that. It's just the other you can't hear it. You guys are like, man, who's got a big dick? Let me tell you about this.
Well,
hey,
we tried. Dave keeps his misogyny, on the low.
Yeah. Fuck you.
Yeah.
We decided we're playing off the cuff today, which is pretty fantastic because usually we're very, very prepared and regimented.
That detailed outline. We have beats not only for our books, but every show we start with a page of beats.
Why are we so organized on our books but not with our show? We're going to have a guest on, and then the guest, we're going to have him later, and so we're having Darren Wearmouth on, and he was very disappointed because he had a whole thing planned. He was supposed to be actually on our show. Maybe he'll tell us about it. So looking forward to having Darren in about a half an hour. And the weirdest thing for me this week was the By the Way launch of the Beam Season 2. It's Realm Stand's biggest franchise. It's the one most anticipated. It's got more words than anything else. People have been really dying to know what happens after the cliffhanger in Season 1. And Sean and I were on a meeting. We're like, so are you going to publish that and put it out? Oh, yeah, I'll take care of that. You got to send, there was no...
Wait, Season 2's out already?
It was out yesterday. Yes.
I ought to read Season 1. I got as far as the wedding scene.
You got as far as the woman singing scene.
Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah, it is pretty funny. It just shows we're just so up to our knees in Unboxed right now, which is cool because it's something that all three of us are working on. So that's pretty exciting, and it's really fun. It's been a lot of fun, but man, it's just been overwhelming, and that's the perfect way to say it. It has been a very by the way launch. But having said that, I'm super excited how enthusiastic readers have been in the last 24 hours. No one's, to my knowledge, read it yet. It's a lot of words, but just I couldn't wait for this. I'm so happy. Volume made me really happy. I'm really, really happy to see that.
Can you say happy again?
I'm really, really happy. I've been listening to Pharrell. Oh, I liked your rant yesterday.
Don't even get me started on Pharrell.
I have something I'd like to announce to interrupt this bullshit off topic about Pharrell, and that's that Damon Carpenter says first. So a coup in the making. A coup. Carl Sinclair not managing. Of course, he hasn't done it recently. We get the.
Well, he's been sleeping, but I have it on good authority that he's awake right now.
Well, I do think that first is really anyone's way of saying "fuck you, Carl." Like, right? It means the same thing, doesn't it?
My favorite thing with because we got to talk about Carl dynamics. We get a lot of that. We've gotten a lot of negative comments recently about it. Enough with Carl Sinclair. Every show is about Carl Sinclair for 50 minutes. We haven't actually gotten that comment.
I was going to say, who's commenting?
Carl
His
Sinclair.
wife? His wife is like, enough of this asshole.
Right. So
Carl started a bearding thing, by the way.
Yeah, that's pretty great. I asked him if he could do planking while bearding. But, yeah. So anyway, I don't know where I was going with that, but I do enjoy how Carl comments, and he comments several times, but he does it hours later. So it'll be like tomorrow, and there'll be a bunch of like comments on this and comments on Better Off Fun Day, comment at different points during the video. It's kind of fun.
That's hilarious.
So, one thing I wanted to mention is that because I guess I've set a precedent. We have to do this now. For those of you who listen live, next week we're gonna move it again. You guys never confirmed, so I guess I'm just deciding this. Are we doing it? Do it at 2:00 on Tuesday, 2:00 Eastern.
Yeah.
Assuming I don't oversleep.
Oh, Dave actually slept through a meeting today or this week. It was awesome.
Right. So
and it ran long. Oh my god. Yeah.
I guess I picked the right time to sleep in.
He totally did. Not only did it run long, it was all about like sales copy.
Yeah, I wasn't missed from that meeting.
No, actually, you were because
Dave can add to this.
No, this is good stuff. This we don't want to talk too much about this at all, but we essentially had to write this is one of the biggest adventures of this Kickstarter so far actually. Johnny, do we want to talk about this ahead of the? I know we just dropped the blog post. If you're listening live, you can go to selfpublishingpodcast.com / Oh crap!
Look at the
I
most
don't
recent blog post.
remember.
You guys know how to navigate blogs.
Yeah, just look at the it's / live forever is what it is.
Live forever. Okay.
Yeah.
Dash
and
forever? Live forever.
Live forever. And it talks. Oh no, it is dashed. It's dash live dash forever.
Fascinating. This is the best episode ever.
Anyway,
almost as good as last night's self-publishing roundtable.
Are you saving that for Better Off Dead, or do you want to regale us with stories?
We'll see.
How many distractions are we out now? Let's start reining in the distractions. I still haven't finished my announcement, but go ahead. It's awesome.
No. Let's backtrack then. Let's keep this show on track. What's your announcement?
Okay, I love the idea that we're going to keep it off track. This is like looking at a collision and saying, "Watch out!" Already, Kurt. Look, there's a 17-car pileup. Watch out. What I was going to say is that Sean and I are going to be in Denver for Copy Bloggers Authority Intensive event.
In Denver? It's picturing Sean in Denver. No comment.
Okay.
What the? Oh, is this a weed joke?
Yeah.
No. All right.
I
don't know that you can buy it in liquor stores there. I think you have to be a resident and shit.
Okay, so we're back to 2 loops out.
Yeah, but this one was weed. It didn't really count.
The longest time anyone has ever required to announce a schedule change. Fucking hell. So the show that would normally be on Friday the 9th will instead be on Tuesday the 6th, and it'll be at the normal time, 2 p.m. Eastern U.S. time. And a big shout out to all the people on the audio feed who didn't even need any of that. They didn't even care. How's it going, guys?
Sorry. No, we suck. We really do suck.
So I'll just announce that. And then the other just announcement sort of thing, actually I have several, actually. Should I do all of these, or should I try to parse them out? They're just little things.
Get them over with.
Get them out of the way. Okay, so people have been asking about Thunderclap, because I think that this is going to be a really good publicity tool for anybody who's launching something. I
think this is better for nonfiction. Maybe not, but it seems like it'd be pretty good for nonfiction people, yeah.
Thunderclap lets you synchronize a bunch of people's tweets, Facebook messages, Tumblrs, all at once. And we're doing it for Fiction Unboxed, and because we're on the podcast, we will of course announce that. But we aren't there yet. It's like a Kickstarter. You have to fund, in air quotes, a minimum number of people backing your Thunderclap before it goes. So it's at selfpublishingpodcast.com/Thunderclap. We're close. There's like 38 left we need to get. And if you guys could go in and if you haven't already done it. It takes like 10 seconds, and you'll join us in spreading a message about fiction unboxed, and then we can talk about it on the show. So there's that. I wanted to mention that I am going to be the closing keynote at the Author Marketing Club. Our friend Jim Kukral is having an event in Cleveland. I guess I should probably have the link. I don't actually have the link.
You didn't ask me?
He didn't ask Sean.
Wow.
Because I'm local. I'm local. I can just drive up there. So that's AMC Live. I should probably actually look at the link. But if you're going to be in Cleveland this summer, it's the weekend after Labor Day, I believe.
If you're going to be in Cleveland this summer, we're sorry.
Yeah, I know. It's the way I feel.
It's better than being there in the fall.
Or this past winter. So that's going on. It's authormarketinglive.com. So if you're anywhere around Cleveland, you can get in. They got an early bird special. So that's that, and I'm the closing keynote. And I guess, is that it? That's probably it, right? We can move on.
Do we have any voicemails?
We do not have any voicemails. That does not mean we don't have voicemails. It means that I don't have them.
We don't have any ready.
Right, we have none ready.
Maybe we'll take a live call today.
We should consider doing that. I consider doing that in about 15 minutes. Maybe
I agree.
10. Because it'll probably be like a 5-minute call. We'll just
if anybody wants to call us live, do it in 15 minutes.
Right. We won't give the phone number though. So if you can get through the gauntlet, well then, good on you.
If you know it by heart, you deserve to call.
Liam Kingman asked, "Is this BOU?" Wade Finnegan says, "Wow, taking ADD to bigger heights."
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, this is terrible.
Should I talk about the disaster on Z?
Oh yeah, that's a good story. That's funny.
So,
is it relevant to self-publishing?
Yes.
Yes, actually.
I know that it is. I just want to set the stage because the last it wasn't.
All right, I'll open with Dave. Dave calls. I pick up the phone. I am totally freaking the fuck out right now, and this could go anywhere. When Dave opens like that, it could mean anything. Like literally, he could have seen somebody who hadn't washed their hands making cookies. This could have been anything. Go ahead.
Are you saying I over-dramatize things?
I'm saying you have on occasion. I'm not saying that's what this was.
Never. No, I was going through the edits for episode 5 of Z2136, and there's an editor's note in the copy that says, and I want to do this without spoiling anything. How did this guy get from this position, where he's pretty much unable to do anything, to planning an ambush? And I realized, to my shock and horror and dismay, that a scene was missing, and a chapter was missing, which not only is a chapter that gets this guy from point A to point B, but it is probably the best chapter in the whole book as far as holy shit. It's what we had been working up to for the bad guy for the whole book. And somehow it got lost. And nobody fucking noticed. And here I'm going to yell at Carl Sinclair right now. The first time I've ever used a beta reader ever in the history of ever, Carl's like, "Hey, I'll take a look at Z for you." And I was like, "Cool, thanks." And he gave me his thoughts, and he had some good suggestions. But he missed this. He missed this part. So no more beta reader.
Did the guy then take off his shirt while wearing handcuffs by any chance?
It was worse than that.
Yeah, this is worse than that.
Very. I mean, and I'm sure Carl was reading on the train and yelling at people at the time, so he probably missed it. But so I emailed our editor at 47 North, and I said, "Holy fuck, we got to fix this." And I was just, for the past 2 hours, I've been sick to my stomach over this. But we found the chapter. Thank you to my paranoia and backing everything up like 95 times.
It was decoy. He found it labeled decoy number 32.
The world was against you. Optimism won this day, bitches.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was really scary. Dave actually, he's like, I'm sick to my stomach. I don't even know I'm going to do the show. He was really upset. Yeah, but I'm. It's awesome that we found it. So you know what? Because I think it's not that we can't rewrite that scene. It's that we're not quite in that story right now. You know, we're not in that story. We're not with those characters. We haven't been living with them every day like we were when that scene was written. You know,
in other words, we've completely forgotten what the hell happened.
Yeah, that's a cold reshoot is what that is, and the timing of this could not be worse because this episode runs on Tuesday, so we need to like get that into done.
I don't even know if they'll get it into the episode, so I don't know what's gonna happen.
I figured it had been released, at least that.
No, it's just before release, which actually I think makes Dave probably more stressed because it's the fact that it's pending. We could do something about it, not like, oh, that's already done. We have to solve that problem, or it's coming up, in a ways, and I know we can solve it. We have like a few hours to try to figure something out, and then it's the weekend, and then all of a sudden it's the next day before it's out, and so anyway. But happy ending to that story.
Archer Caldwell said, "If only you had a continuity guy."
Zing.
Hold on, we got it.
Not comments. Oh my God. Never good.
Never good. MGon's here.
All right.
I'm gonna jump back to that. To the sales.
Had a relevant comment. Fuck, I can't find it now. It disappeared from the stream. I love Google.
Oh, probably because we push relevancy away from us. It's probably our.
Well, there's a question. Let's dump that one.
So one thing that we had to do this week it's hard. It's really hard is Johnny and I had to write a sales letter essentially for a page that you guys haven't seen yet, and it's
the whole time was jumping up and down saying, "Oh, I want to do it. I want to do it."
It's just writing copy is hard. Writing sales copy is hard to do. It's not fun. Fiction is so much fun. It's just fun to tell a story. But this is very precise, and everything has to be in a certain order. And Johnny and I hate some of that so much that, like, for example, every sales page you ever have has to have testimonials, right? And Johnny and I are like, yeah, we're not putting those in. Like this, and maybe they'll make it up back in our final revision. But we don't like that kind of stuff. Like we wanted a certain tone, real friendly, and testimonials to me are like, I don't know, they're just too, it's too sales lettery, and we wanted this to be something different because the beauty of writing this letter was that we really had to figure out something, and that something is really cool, and it's built on the link to the podcast that we were talking about earlier, where now our $50,000 stretch goal, we're going to build a world for everybody. We're going to build a world and let
the world means with documentation and all sorts of official, not just open a world, but actually build it.
Yeah, so you would get a Scrivener template similar to what like we would use for the Beam or something like that. They'll have characters and locations and histories and timelines and all of that. And so part of writing this sales letter and kind of articulating what those $5,000 and $10,000 packages would actually be, and really trying to make that sound as awesome as it was by designing something really, really cool. And what happened was that trickled down to where now that these levels up here are what they are, and they're pretty cool. That's what we wrote the copy around. It trickles down the entire reward schedule, all the way from participation. Participation became something much, much cooler because now at the participation level, you get to help shape the world. You get to make up characters in that world that'll become part of our official histories, and that's all really, really cool. But now everybody gets access to the world too. If we hit that goal, then those templates will be available to everybody.
Everybody,
and that's
like
pretty.
Every level, or
yeah, every level, and that's really
$1 level. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I don't see why not.
But
right?
the participants are the ones who will shape it. Yes.
Yeah. So I think that's really exciting. And I mentioned this a few episodes ago, but it was really in passing. But I think that even if you never, ever, ever, ever write a sales letter, professionally. The idea of writing a sales letter around your own products can be really painful to do, but it's a really great exercise. I haven't done it, but kinda. We were writing a sales letter for Realm and Sands to kind of explain who we are and what we do. And writing a letter for what these, it's the World Building Summit is what we're calling it, and writing a letter that explained what that is really explains it to us too, and we're trying to make it cooler and cooler and cooler, and we're doing that by exploring through the copy. And if you just write a sales letter as if you're trying to sell somebody on why they should read your book, that's a pretty great exercise to understand the material yourself. It doesn't have to be a big deal, and you don't have to show it to anybody, but seriously, if you took 2 hours to, maybe a good time to do this actually would be in between your edit and your polish, or your rough draft and your edit, where you're trying to explain to somebody why that book is awesome, and in a persuasive argument, you're going to understand that so much better, so that when you go back to revise your copy, you're going to get something better out of it. And so anyway, sales copy can be very uncomfortable to write, especially if it's for your own stuff. But I think knowing that no one will see it would actually be kind of cool. And write something convincing about why your book is amazing. Because I think that exercise will make you look at it objectively in a way that maybe you can't as the author. And that's one of the best things that we get from working with each other. The three of us are always there to, bounce ideas and talk about. It really, really helps, because we never have to feel alone or in a vacuum. It's a matter of, is this idea good? Is this idea okay? And if you don't have a constant collaborator that makes you think more deeply about your project, then writing a sales letter or something like that to yourself, convincing yourself or convincing a potential reader, I think could do some of that for you.
Let me just
Go ahead.
Were you going to say something that I am not anticipating in any way?
I was going to talk about the questions, some comments, but we can get to those after.
Oh, all right. Well, just because he was mentioning the sales letter and stuff, I just want to mention quickly, and I will be quick, is for Fiction Unboxed, because we've gotten a lot of questions on this. You don't have to be there live for any of it. I think that there's a perception that because we said we'll write a book live. If you're below participation level, you could be in there like any level below that, and then do nothing during the project, and then 6 months later watch it all. And even the participants don't have to literally be live, as like you can do that the participating asynchronously. So I just wanted to add that.
Yeah, there will be a lot of fluid communication. This is what I think one way to solve this might just to be do show notes like we do for the podcast. This is what we talked about. So if you don't have time to watch a 1 hour video, or let's face it, a 2 hour video, there could be a summary and the main question. We decided on this. Here are your genres, 5 genres to choose from, on that day one, and they don't have to watch the 2 hour video. They could just say, oh, I want it to be a romance.
Right.
Please don't pick romance.
Please don't pick romance. So Dave, do you want to do a few of these quick questions, or no?
Yeah. Jennifer Selzer says, regarding the missing chapter, that totally happened to us, and our book had been out for like a year. I found it myself in the middle of the night and had to send this panic text to my partner in the middle of the night. Interestingly, none of our readers and no reviews really reflected this error, so I totally sympathize with the horror. And we have 2 questions, 2 people asking, how do we feel about the 1-star review that dropped our overall review?
That's a great question. That's a great question. All right, so background here. We have...
Oh, you're going to talk? Oh.
We gotta keep this real brief.
Go ahead, Dave.
Somebody gave the book a positive review, how they liked it and all, but they gave it 1 star. So I'm pretty sure it was an error. And but we only have 2 fucking reviews so far for Z, which is like pretty pathetic. But we have 2 reviews, and it knocked it down from 5 stars to 3. But whatever. I left a comment on there. If you meant to, that's cool. I'm not gonna bitch. But if not, then hopefully
it's like
we can change it.
This is fantastic. I love this series. You guys are doing great job. 1 star.
Yeah, well, it wasn't quite that glowing, but yeah, you could tell they liked it.
It was a positive review, and they had also the same reviewer had reviewed Z2135 positively and actually managed to click the correct number of stars on that other one. So it was, yeah.
All right. So at this point, I wanted to anticipate that I wanted to bring in the caller who we obviously didn't queue up in any way ahead of time. Stephanie. Stephanie, go ahead.
Hi, this is Stephanie.
Wait, hold on. I'm looking for Stephanie.
This is Stephanie.
You sound you sound just like Dave.
No, it's not Dave. It's Stephanie.
Oh,
I've been smoking.
All right. What's your question?
I had a question regarding covers. You guys had talked about this company that you can get covers from, but I cannot remember it for the life of me. I've gone through 98 different websites looking for a place, and I can't find it.
Where is Dave? This is Dave.
No, it's Stephanie.
Okay, Stephanie. That would be 99 Designs. 99 Designs, fantastic company where you can you set up a contest and designers will compete to design your book cover for you, and you don't have to pay if you don't like any of the designs. You have nothing to lose from doing a 99 Designs contest.
Wow, that sounds fantastic. Thank you.
What is your book about, Stephanie?
Oh, you don't want to know. It's got children in jeopardy. Do you think they could do a design for that?
I don't know, but I would highly recommend you check out 99 Designs, and you can start your custom design today at 99designs.com/SPP and enjoy a free Power Pack upgrade valued at $99. A Power Pack gives you much more designer time and attention, so you get nearly twice as many designs to help you choose from. 99designs.com/SPP. I just off the top of my head, that's my recommendations.
Thank you very much. And by the way, Carl sucks.
All right.
Bye.
All right. Well, that wasn't a train wreck or anything. So there we go.
What?
So we want to bring Darren in, I suppose.
Oh, is David back? Dave's back.
Dave's back. All right, Dave, you just missed a caller who sounded exactly like you.
It wasn't me.
They also write books with children in jeopardy.
No.
Yeah, they said fuck Carl when they were hanging up.
All right. Let us never speak of this ad read again.
A bit rusty.
I wonder if I even have Darren in my Google Plus. This is how prepared
I can see if I can invite him.
Yeah, you invite him. Sean, talk about sales letters.
Never again.
What else can we talk about? What else we got while we're trying to get Darren in?
I don't know, but remember how we thought that this would be no big deal, that we were switching guests and it would be good? It wasn't.
There would be no hiccups whatsoever. I guess, something I would like to say though, while we're attempting to get Darren
in the chat window, it won't let me invite.
All right. Is to thank you for everybody who's backed Fiction Unboxed. I just wanted to say that it's pretty fantastic, and I mean everybody wins the more people join it, but there's been a ton of excitement, and that's really
the enthusiasm is my favorite thing about this so far, is that everyone is like rah rah rah. When is it going to be June? And I feel the same way, and I'm having kind of a hard time right now, not brewing story. There's this weird, I just have to wait. There's nothing to work on.
Restriction that we can't plan.
Yeah. So and we have green lights. It's ready to go. we have to wait until June 1st. But
John keeps saying, I have an idea that we could toss in. No, don't tell me the ideas.
Yeah. So it's gonna be really, really awesome, and can't wait for June. Hey, Darren.
We got Darren. Darren's here. How's it going?
Wait. We have an important comment. Lucid Concepts, who is not me, said, my previous comment vanished. Is there any chance you can mention the website of your sponsor again? I'd like to check them out. 99designs.com/SPP.
Okay, we'll just cut our guest right off. How's it going, Darren?
Yeah, not bad. How are you, gents? I thought Stephanie had a really sexy voice.
Me too.
Really did.
And that's how Dave feels about you.
Yes. I'm kind of disappointed because Darren, when I was talking to him earlier, said, his lady's out of town and he's just going to, sit back in his underwear and enjoy the show and get drunk. But
you got all excited.
He's dressed now. I said, underwear? Oh, now this is a chance to get him on.
Yeah, but I can still get drunk. I mean, there's no problem with that.
Do we have the same cup? My God. We're soulmates!
We should have you read some audiobooks for us. I was telling these guys before the call, Simon Whistler, the guy who did the Write, Publish, Repeat audiobook, is doing Robot Proletariat right now. And oh my God, is it funny having such a proper, he's got a really proper voice, reading the lines by the sex bots. It's just fantastic.
All British people sound proper.
Yeah, well, Simon to me sounds very posh. He's from the south of England, and I'm from the north, which is typically more working class, but he's got a lovely voice, very smooth. I'd just like to say congrats to you guys on the Kickstarter. I was a contributor on the first day, and I'm delighted to see it going really well.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that's exactly what we love so much about it, is everybody's like, yeah! And it's so much fun. So thank you very, very much.
Does anyone else want to cancel today's topic and just ask Darren questions about England? I don't want to do it.
Darren is the author of First Activation, post-apocalyptic thriller, and he was, how I got to know him is through Carl, actually, is friends with him, and he'd been commenting on Self-Publishing Roundtable. But he'd been very successful in his book launch strategy, where he used several different websites, like BookBub and such, and pricing in order to get to the top of the charts and do very well for himself with his very first book. And he did so well that he got the attention of 47 North, who signed him to a deal. Is a deal for First Activation? I don't know, or is it for another book?
It's for First Activation and the sequel, signed for 2 books. It's planned to be a trilogy. I think that's the way they're going now. See how the sales go on the second, dependent on the third, but that's what we signed for initially. I'm quite happy with dealing with them so far. They've been really great. I mean, what's your guys' experience with them?
Hit and miss. It's good. It was good for the Z series. Monstrous, they didn't back quite as well. Ironically, we got an email saying that I think Monstrous is going to be promoted next month or something, but they were really good to us on Z. Monstrous, I don't know what happened there. It's one of those things, but I think Kindle serials look like they've kind of fallen off the map. I think they're done because the only one out right now is ours, and I don't see anything after that except a Hugh Howey graphic novel, and that's not a serial book. So I think Kindle serials. I don't know anything about it, but it feels like it was something.
Perhaps a failed experiment.
It didn't work. Maybe that's a shame because I was hoping it would do so well that then indie authors would be able to serialize and update one book and not have to deal with putting out episodes, because that's a disaster.
Well, you know what, dude? Maybe it's the other way around. Maybe the fact that they don't need it as much in-house, they'll be willing to open it as a tool for indie authors.
Who knows? It would be nice.
That would be fantastic, because I'd be legitimately excited about releasing serialized again. Like, I would be, that's awesome, because even the Bean came out yesterday, and we put it out all as once because that episode model is broken. But if we could have released it, for the one price, and you're going to get updates every week, that would have been exciting, because you get that water cooler stuff, right? And we've lost that. Like, there's no water cooler moment around our serials anymore, and it's when they're done and people like the story. But I think authors, to have people talking about their stuff as it's going is really, really cool, and that tool would let it happen for all of us.
So I asked Dave before the show. I said, so since I haven't done research on Darren, what are the chances that I'm going to ask questions that are going to be stupid that everyone's going to? So here we go. We're going to find out. But when you say that you were using a bunch of sites to launch that book, I mean, BookBub, it has to be out for a while. So did you do sort of a two-phase? I know nothing about the launch strategy.
The launch strategy was, I looked at it when I was starting to launch, and I thought, well, how can I attract readers to me as a complete unknown? It's not like when you guys release a book now, but you were in that situation once before, and I tried to figure out how to get some readership and at the same time provide them some value and want them to come back and buy another book. So I devised a strategy where I used the sites that would allow you to market and advertise at a 99-cent rate without reviews for the first week. This has all changed now. A lot of them have upped the game, but BookBlast, which formerly was BookSense, I used in the first week. Bargain Booksy, Kindle Nation Daily was the most effective. That was the Kindle Fire Book of the Day for $99. Flurry of Words, Pixel Scroll, people like that. I cobbled them all together to try and get a cumulative effect similar to a BookBub that you might get, and it worked. Ran the adverts over a series of the first week, put it at 99 cents. But I mean, key to that as well was you have to have a decent cover, a book that's actually okay, and a blurb that's attractive. I mean, it's a number of different things that you have to get ready, isn't it, to be able to get people in, and that's what I did. After that first week, I got some ranking exposure from that, and the royalties I did get that you could calculate, I reinvested and bought some more advertisements. I couldn't do a BookBub until about 6 months. I tried after a month or two, and they refused me. But I carried on using the other sites, and other people have started to come really good, like Kindle Books and Tips. They're quite effective as well. They've since upped their game, so a new stock launch strategy will be required. But that's basically how I managed to do it. And you know, it kind of went well. And it's worked for another couple of people too. Nick Smith, who wrote Orbs, you may have seen that in the charts, he used it. Bill Masser, who wrote Silicon Man, he used it as well. I don't think it will work for everyone. There's no right or wrong answer here. I mean, I'm interested to see how your Thunderclap goes, for example. I mean, I backed that and I tweeted it out, but how's that going?
We don't know yet. We still have 38 to fill it. But I'm fascinated by the concept. I'm really, really interested by the concept.
We should tell people real quick what it is. They're just finding this episode or whatever.
It's the social media. It allows you to queue people up. So basically, again, I'll just repeat the URL. You can go see ours. It's at selfpublishingpodcast.com/thunderclap. And basically, you'll see a message there that you can pre-authorize to share through your social media channels at a certain time. Now, it's currently set for May 8th, and basically that means that at May, although I think we're going to move that back because we're going to this event and stuff, and we want to capitalize a little more. But the point is, at that time, it all goes at once. So, like, you know, Darren got in and whoever else, and his message will send at the same time as everybody else's. And what we think will happen, and what we've heard will happen, and all that is that it's a geometric effect. So if I send a Facebook message and somebody else sends a Facebook message, that's 2 instances of one Facebook message. But if we send them at the exact same time, there's going to be a tiny little increment. It's 1 + 1 = 2.00 whatever. But when you get to 500 or beyond, I would think it's going to get really, really big.
Yeah, there's no way to know until we actually see the thunder, but I'm really excited about it because, again, I think this works better for nonfiction. But who knows? I think it's all about your message. You know, if you could come up with, like, let's say you wrote a vampire book, and you came up with the right hook and the right question or the right thing that you were trying to promote that wasn't really about your book, but an idea around your book. I think this is better for ideas than commercials.
It's like Twilight for dudes, man.
I think causes and for nonfiction you can do that even if you're let's say you wrote a book about the perfect golf swing or something, right? And writing a Thunderclap about the book you just wrote about your golf swing is going to be a tough sell. But writing, doing a Thunderclap.
I actually would have said the opposite. I think that would be a good sell. You know how obsessive golfers are about improving their swing?
Yes, but you have to make it a cause. So it would be like how to stay young forever. You have
by Thunderclap's definition or your definition.
No, by my definition of what people will want to share. People
your golf swing, and I think
yes, but that's what people will want, not necessarily what they will share. There's a difference between what people will want and what they will share. And if you're a golfer, you may click on an article that tells you about improving your golf swing. That's awesome, but you don't necessarily share that. You share something that talks about, that validates why you play golf. You know, like something, golf people are sexier, like older people. People who play golf it's proven fact that they're sexy.
Not as sexy as cricket players, though, huh, Darren?
Yeah, well, cricket's very sexy. I mean, Cal's already threatened to troll me on here, but we both love cricket, and yeah, it sends blood rushing down when I see the swing of the bat.
So yeah, I think getting it, and it's the same is true for Kickstarter. You know, I think if we had approached this differently, I don't think we would have had as much of or there's a real sense of rallying around it, and I think it's because it's more than what it is. You know, it's changed the world with a story. And what's funny, and the thing that Johnny wrote today that's on the blog, the Live Forever one. One of the lines in there is about how, like, all of this we're
that post How to Live Forever, because I literally have a post name.
Oh, do you really? That's
yes, it's one of the ones I put up on Amazon. It's a free book. Jesus Christ. Okay, go ahead. Continue.
Well, just that this is all like shaping the story. This is all finding it as we're going, and that even now we're like really leaning into the whole change the world with a story message, which didn't even exist before the Kickstarter, and yet it's helping to inform the way we think about it. And I think that cause is what helps that to gel.
I do think fiction readers will be able to use it, especially, you know, using Darren's strategy or evolving strategy. If you're pricing a book at, you know, 99 cents, if you can also arrange, you know, Thunderclap, where you have a few hundred people talking about it at the same time, and then they're popping up in various, you know, Twitter, Facebook, and stuff like that, and then other people will see, well, what the hell is this book everybody's talking about all at once, man? And they'll be more inclined to check it out. That's a thought anyway. We'll see.
I found. Sorry, I don't mean to be. We have a habit of steamrolling.
Let's have Darren on and not let him talk.
I just want to add really quick. I want to verify, like Dave said, that's the theory. But I've written about this. I've talked about it. I've seen it in the past with Johnny 1.0 before I was writing books, and it's true. The more, if you're in enough places, it's like everybody's talking about it.
Yeah, I agree with both of you. It's you create a buzz, don't you, around it, and if you get it in front of lots of eyes, and people will buy it, people will like it, and hopefully return to your next books, and that's the challenge for a new author coming out, to be able to do that, which is very difficult in today's market. I asked you a question last week on the show, how you see it evolved how you've evolved in 2 years, and I think you all give great answers, particularly Sean. The fact that people have got a lot more professional. You need to stand out in the market. You've got to produce a good product. You need a good cover. You need a good blurb. You've got to put some effort into the launch, and that's the challenge for all of us. And I'm really interested, again, you know, to see how this Thunderclap goes. And I think the only thing I'd like to add, now that I mean, it's strange talking to you because I am a genuine fan of the show and I've watched it a while, and was that you shouldn't undervalue how you've inspired people to write as well. When I was writing my first book, I used to watch your show, and you've proven how you can do it and give out advice. And one of the reasons I supported your campaign was I wanted it to be a success. I mean, you've done well for the indie community. I just wanted to say that.
Thank you very, very much. That is, we're really excited about the things that we're going to be able to do to foster more community and grow this to the next level, because we've had a pretty cool 2 years. This is so one of the things that when we do, you know, the show does generate critics, right? All shows do. And one of the criticisms of the show is it isn't what it used to be. And I'm glad. I don't want to be stale. I don't want to stagnate. I hope that listeners of this show can always say that this isn't what it used to be. And that sometimes it's going to be a little better, sometimes it's going to be exponentially better, and maybe sometimes it sucks for a month or two. But you know what? That's us finding our feet. Sometimes we write books that aren't as great as we want, and we write again. And this show.
Mentioning Space Shuttle.
This show.
Get a word in edgewise.
This show is about our journey, and our journey was different 2 years ago than it is now. And so, of course, the show is different. And I think that we're at this Fiction Unboxed is kind of a changing point, like, because we now have the platform to really dream big, and we're all big dreamers. You know, even Dave, like, he's kind of afraid of his dreams, but that doesn't mean he doesn't have them. Like Dave does. One of the reasons Dave and I work
nightmares.
One of the reasons Dave and I work so well together is because he does dream along with me. It's just harder for him to believe it's going to come true. But I think now, you know, all three of us, our ideas are getting bigger, and it's more like, what can we do for everybody? How can we take this platform and these ideas and really build a fabric around our ambition and make it something that everyone can kind of shroud themselves in? And it's been really, really a cool process, and it's just awesome to hear you say that. Thank you so much. One note on Thunderclap, everybody, we have it set for 500, and that's kind of, you know, we were hopeful when we set it for 500. We thought you could set it for 100, 250, or 500, but you can, if your network is smaller, you can run a smaller Thunderclap campaign, and you know, 100 is reasonable, and you can set the dates. So instead of 30 days with 500, set it for 90 days with 100, and, you know, really work on that. I bet you, for even any book could benefit from that.
Or if it goes over 100, will they allow you to do it?
No, the way it works is, actually, that's a great question. I think it caps off at 100 unless you pay. So Thunderclap is free. You can run any kind of a campaign that you want, and it doesn't cost anything. However, and that doesn't, you can choose how many people you want. So 100 doesn't cost, you know, more than 250 or anything like that. It's just the same. But you get a couple of options by paying that you don't get otherwise, and one of them is just kind of instrumental to us, I think, was the ability to both change your number and the duration of your campaign. So basically, if you don't pay, you have to make all your decisions ahead of time, and you can't change them. And to us, we're always changing shit. Like, we needed to know that, you know, okay, if we're not getting enough people at 500, in fact, we did.
It's all about how we can't keep anything simple.
Yeah, and it's not because we're scatterbrained. Like, that's not it at all. Like, we are a little bit, but that's like a very small fraction of the movement that you see among the three of us. It's because we're always trying to respond to, you know, what our goals are, but also what life has given us and what our career has given us, and that changes the variables. You know, we can only plot the Kickstarter out so much, but once it's funded, it becomes something different. Once we see the enthusiasm, it becomes something different. So this week we had, Darren, did you see this? This week we had the whole not the templates, the transcriptions thing.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Right. Yeah. That was fun. This is a great example. So, if you don't know,
where Dave was right.
Yeah, Dave was totally right on this. So we had these meetings
right, motherfucker.
about what's the very best rewards that we can give, and we wanted to stack the rewards. And we wanted to start with transcriptions because transcriptions are something we really want to have done because it will give the site the super infrastructure and allow all of the content to be easily searchable and indexed, and that's pretty exciting. But it's not sexy at all. It's a really shitty reward if you think about it, right? Like, let's get you excited with transcripts. And Dave was like, no one cares about transcripts. And Johnny and I were like, yeah, we know. That's why we have to put them out first. So that
I kind of expressed some of that, too.
All right. Transcripts was all me. I'll own transcripts. All right. So I'm like, no, we got to get it out there now, because people won't be excited later, but we want to have them done. And the point is, yes, we should do transcripts anyway, but you guys don't need to know about it. It's not exciting, it's not sexy, whatever. So we listened when there was, because we got a lot of the $25,000 was transcripts, and then $35,000 was, we're gonna show you how we use beats. So we got all these emails like, yeah, beats, 35,000. Crickets chirping on 25. No one said anything.
Okay, let's stop talking about goddamn Kickstarter and Thunderclap and shit and talk about Darren.
I agree with that, but just to close Sean's point, so nobody wonders. His point is we needed the ability to pivot. But yeah, man, working with Sean is kind of like working with a bottle rocket tied to a string and trying to catch it and shit. How am I going to rein this thing in? So I'll bring it back. So Darren, First Activation, that's your only book, right?
He co-wrote it with his brother, who I'm not sure really exists, because I've yet to see him.
Decoy Wearmouth. So if it's your only, I think that's really, really instructive for a few reasons. Number one, our thing is write, publish, repeat, and you haven't done that yet. You got one, and you were able to have a really good success with a relatively new first book as an unknown. And I'm just really curious about insights on that, if you have any, and if you would launch your second book the exact same way, or if you think that was for a time.
How I would do that is, I didn't look at the outliers like the mega successful people like Hugh Howey. I think if you expect that or try to follow that, you're going to end up disappointed. I looked at some of the blogs like Russell Blake's, who gives out good advice. He's a very successful mid-lister. I spoke to some of the guys. It's very hard to get a community going, or at least one doesn't exist that's successful in the genres that we write. So you have to go straight to them and ask the questions. And I devised the launch strategy around the information I got, and also the information that I could gather off keyboards. With regards to the second book, that'll be launched by 47 North, so I'll have no control. But I do intend to have some indie releases and keep hybrid, pretty much the same as you guys have done. And I will launch at 99 cents again, and the logic would be to give the readers who've stuck with me and who I can contact in a newsletter the option of buying the book cheap in the first week. And I would also couple that with ads as well. Whether it gets the same effect as First Activation or not, I don't know. But I think it's a good dual thing to do, and that's my plan. I've actually I'm co-writing with Colin Barnes at the moment, and we've finished 2 books. One is an Alien Invasion series, and another one is about synthetic humans. And we're just deciding what to do with them at the moment. XNA actually exists. I mean, it's synthetic DNA, and they've created live cells, and we've kind of extrapolated from that. But I don't want to give too much away. Yeah.
The reason I'm so fascinated is because, for the obvious reasons, but also because if you go back in our archives, which will be easier once we have transcripts of them all, by the way, we toyed with a 99-cent release for a while, and then we decided not to do it. We decided that wasn't working for us. And I'm just mentally trying to square the idea of what our experience was and your experience was, and wondering if there's something we should pick back up.
But, he advertised at a lot of different places.
Right, but why? We just didn't think to do it.
Well, how steep a discount is the 99 cents? Is it? What's the normal price of the book that it's down to 99?
Yeah, it's been $2.99 or $3.99. I've played around a little bit just to see where it all lies. And my sales have been pretty much split. I mean, there's always the concern, you could be leaving something off the table if you go forever at 99 cents, and then you have to decide, right, when do I actually put it from discount up to the normal price? And if I put it up to the normal price, will it just die, or will it carry on doing well? And it's something you can ache over for ages. But I don't think there can be much debate about the fact that if you use the effective ads at 99 cents with Books Ends and Kindle Books and Tips or Kindle Nation Daily, that you do get extra sales, which leads to extra higher ranking, which leads to more exposure, which can lead to more sales. And that was the logic behind it. And I think I switched. I mean, we actually got into the top 100. I switched when it was about 120, and it ducked down to about 220, something like that. It stayed there for about 3 months at the 70% royalty rate. Yeah. So I mean,
fantastic.
Yeah.
What price was it at? Was it 99 cents for 3 months, or did you raise the price back up before it stayed?
Yeah, it was. I think it was about six to 8 weeks, possibly. I'd have to look back at my data. I think you can get it if you have a look at BookScan or something like that. But it was not BookScan. There's a tool you can use, isn't there, where you can track books. But anyway, once it got to its kind of peak at 99 cents, which was about 6 weeks. That's when I changed the price, and then at the 70% royalty rate, it stayed at around $2.50 for those months. And it was funny because I sold a lot more getting to the rank, that top 200, than I actually did afterwards to maintain the same position. And are you giving me the bit of finger there, Dave?
No. No, I'm nodding. Yes, we've experienced that as well.
No, I just thought it was the right time to make that change, and it stayed there. So I don't know. There's no right or wrong answer, but that strategy seemed to work, and I would. For a new author, I think it's fine. I mean, it's different for you guys who've already got a readership. You don't necessarily need that initial boost, but I do think it's a nice way to reward readers who do stay with you, to at least give them that discount initially, which can help you. Anyway.
Different for us. I think that what you're talking about that you got out of those is more than we're getting out of just blasting it to our list. It really makes me think that I kind of want to try it.
Yeah, well, I'm happy to help you, Johnny. And I've got a spreadsheet of how we lined it all up, and
I do think,
yeah, well, it expands. It can help expand your readership and reach people who subscribe to those reader sites. I mean, you're not. I think it's very important not to spam people on Facebook or Twitter, or approach people you don't know and say, "Buy my book." I think it's important just to advertise on the right websites where readers subscribe to and go and get those daily emails where they can come in and buy your book, because I think anything beyond that's a little bit unprofessional.
Yeah, Darren, if you send me that, I can do a live guinea pig thing. It won't be apples to apples, but here's the reason that this is really kind of apropos for me at the time, right now, is that I just booked. At the beginning of the year, Trish sent around an email about the ENT book of the day, and I guess I'm talking mainly to Sean and Dave. I don't know if you know it, Darren, or whatever, but the point is they sell for a very short window of time. ENT, which we've done their 99-cent promo, will sell these books of the day thing, and I finally got mine. It's in June. And so I said I want to schedule as much as I can around that, because when I had the Fat Vampire, the 4-book value meal thing, and I did that at 99 cents, I did a BookBub promo, did ENT, did KBT, and all these others, it went quite high. It went into the top 100. But then it didn't stick. And what we saw with Ed's book, with his Breakers thing, is it's like, it feels like what you described, Darren. It's like if you're up there long enough, there's some sort of a cliff that you pass where it does seem much, much stickier, but you have to do the hard work of staying up there for a long time before it does. I mean, Ed was at 99 cents with that thing for months, riding in like the 200s. And so I want to try it again. Like I'm trying, I'm going to book a BookBub in a few days. I'm going to book, Book Blast turned me down. It was like they're the cheapest one. They were $10. And they said, we don't want you. And I said, why? I booked for you before. And they said, well, you didn't do well enough last time. I'm like, okay, well, fuck you then. But I'd love to add a few more sites to that list.
Colin Barnes said, I also do the 99-cent launch as it rewards the loyal readers. If you charge them full price at launch and then discount them in the future, I don't think that's treating your loyal readers as well as they probably ought to be treated.
I
totally agree with that.
But I don't think that's what we're talking about. I totally agree. Because I remember somebody was passing around a link about the idea of doing sales. And I think that for me anyway, there's a window between, if you do an initial launch discount, you come back up to full price, between then and 6 months or something like that. I feel like you shouldn't do a sale.
There's eventually you have to drop prices. Like all merchandise drops prices, but you do it way after. If you count on the people who are most eager to buy your book to spend the most on it, that kind of sucks. Like don't ever do that.
Yeah, it's kind of back to front, isn't it? I mean, it's and I saw that. I mean, there's all these various Facebook groups with authors on you get invited to and what have you. And some guy was like, get your loyal readers to support you and everything. And to me, it was absolutely back to front. No, reward your loyal readers and give them some value.
Yeah, we had a hard time with originally we always tried to do a launch window where we were low everywhere, but then Amazon kept price matching us. And so we were just like forced into the lower price for longer than we wanted to leave it. So now we just launched lower on Amazon, figuring that most of the traffic is there. But yeah, I really think you have to. The people who are gonna buy on that first day, that first week, dude, they should get the lowest price because they're the most excited. That means they're the most likely to love you as an artist. And you ask for less of them because they're already giving you more. They're giving you a premium on their attention.
I can understand why people would do it, though. There is a scarcity mindset. Like, let's say, I know I got like 500 people waiting to buy this book, but after that, I don't know how many people will buy it. So do I want to give out 500 copies at 99 cents, or do I want to do it? I can understand why some people would do it if they don't think their book is going to do well after that initial
Well,
sale.
that's why the 99 cents is hard for me. 99 cents is like discounting to $2.99 on a $5.99 book. I think is awesome.
Relative to what it is. So, for instance, the Beam Season 2 is out right now. Full price for the Beam is $9.99, and don't bother debating it because we've already had 17 shows about why it's such a shitty price. But that is the normal price, and so we launched it and reduced Beam Season 1 commensurately to $7.99. Now that doesn't seem, that's a far cry from 99 cents, but for the Beam it's a 20% discount. So that's it. Nobody knows what to say to that.
I'm afraid. A, I'm afraid to talk too much, and B, I'm afraid to talk pricing. So I'm just like, I'm not saying anything.
I'm letting it go. But my point is that we did do the 99 cents for a while, and the reason was because what we were releasing at the time were all $2.99 books, and if we were releasing a $4.99 book, then I think after a while we started releasing them at $2.99. So we did release at a discount. I don't think we've ever really stopped that. But
no, we've always taken care. No, because it's important. It's too important to the business model. Our readers are everything. Like, we lose our readers, we lose our business, right? So everyone listening to this has to realize that you can't be a writer. Look, there are people who will tell you you could be a writer just because you believe it. But what makes you a writer is having people who want to read your work. And you have to nurture those people. Just go above and beyond always. And it's not just launch pricing is great, but in every way that you can, let your reader know that you appreciate them. That's the most important thing you can do.
Darren, how much did you take to for the 99 cent thing? Was that just brutal, going to that 35% rate as well?
In what way?
Well, the reason that discounting from $4.99 to $2.99 doesn't hurt nearly as much as going from $2.99 to 99 cents, even though it's still $2, because you're in the 35% commission bracket. But of course, in order to get ads, like you said, most of those require a 99 cent price point.
Yeah, it's my motivation was to try and get the book out to as many people as possible, to try and build up a readership, let people get to know me and like what I was doing. And that was completely behind the launch strategy. If I was you guys, I would possibly do the same for the first week, and then leave it on for a month, and then leverage the countdown deal where you get 70% royalties, and then couple that with some of the paid ads. If you were choosing Select, and I know that you've got very mixed feelings on that issue, but that was my motivation behind it. And when I went to the 70% rate, my sales still held up. Of course, the drop. I don't think anyone would say that they increased the price and the sales went up, but they didn't drop dramatically. They dropped by about 40%, which still gives you a larger increase.
Yeah, that puts you way ahead, way ahead.
Yeah, it does, and it's probably a little bit gauche to talk turkey. So I still think that strategy works for me. And I'm trying to come up with a new one with Colin now, because the goalposts have shifted. A lot of these advertisers have become a lot more successful. Kindle Books and Tips and Book Blasters turned into Book Sends, and the last time I used them, I think I got 50 sales for them for a $10 ad. And they asked for more reviews now. So we're reviewing what to do, and what we've kind of figured is a 99 cent launch for the first week, give it to our mailing list, send out some advanced review copies to the readers who've got in touch and we have some dialogue with, and then after a month perhaps have a look at the countdown deal if we can, or look to increase back to our full royalty rate. It goes back again to what we were talking about before, rewarding the loyal readers and trying to expand our readership as well.
That's very, very similar to what Realm and Sands was doing for a while. Was the initial to our list, and then we would do promotion. I tell you what, if this works well for the Fat Vampire value meal, like if it has enough cred and has enough stickiness, I'm game to this time. Last time I was precious about it, but I'm game this time to let it ride at 99 cents like Ed did, and see what happens.
Yeah, Ed and I were. There was one point where Ed and I were 1 and 2 in our genre, and we were keeping Dust, at number 3. It was pretty amazing. I thought we were emailing each other, going, "What the fuck's going on?"
Poor guy's going poor. He's going to go bankrupt now. He's not making it.
Yeah.
Carl has a question, and it's not about cricket. Darren, are you still with Kindle Select? What advantages do you feel you get from still being in Select when most people say it no longer works?
It depends. I see people on keyboards saying it doesn't work, but if you don't advertise your book elsewhere and you use the countdown deal and you're ranked at, say, 500,000, then you will not see a benefit from their features. But I stayed with Kindle Select so I could use the countdown deal, and if you can couple that with an ad for ENT, which is free, although you have to pay them, as you probably know, an invoice for the amount of sales or click-throughs you get from their advertisement, then I think it's totally worth it, because if you've got a book that's ranked reasonably high, and the countdown deal now is its own select menu that you can have a look at, they advertise it to the customers. If you couple that with some ads for the 99 cents, again, use the countdown deal, you'll appear near the top of those charts and your sales will boost again. And I've spoken to a couple of writers recently who've used the countdown deal very successfully. So that's one of the reasons I'm in. The second reason I'm in is borrows. The borrows I've got have made up between some months 20% of revenue, some months 15%, and that gives you, they count towards your rank when you in the Amazon algorithms. So it technically gives you a jump on the fellow people around you by just being in Select. And Colin and I actually had a look at the last 28 out of 30 sci-fi books that did really well last year. They were all in Select.
This,
I don't know if it's coincidence, but
it's a perfect example of tactics versus strategies, honestly, because when Carl's question was does Select not work, and Darren, you responded in terms of I don't know if it doesn't work. The two instances of doesn't work made me go, oh, okay, I don't know that I would say that. As much as I feel like I just want to shit on Select's head for the most part, I would not say that it doesn't work. I would say that depending on how you use it, like countdown deals, when they were new, a lot of people, including us, sort of figured that the way that might work is you would make it free and you would get the countdown, and then you'd get exposure that way. Hey, this book is discounted, and you get people coming to you. But what you're describing is really, really intelligent. It's almost like the countdown doesn't matter. You're using it, and then you're driving traffic to it.
Yes.
And all you're losing with Select, now I think this is significant. So when I say all you're losing, but what you're just losing, you're losing the ability to put it other places for 90 days. And that's probably a fair trade-off for some people.
Yeah, it's what you think about it as like an ad buy. Like, oh, I'm going to be in this place. It's going to cost me $1,000 to advertise here for 90 days, but I'm going to get X number of sales because of it, and that's what you decide. I think the really big takeaway here is that we all have, it's different for all of us. And it's not enough to do anything, tactic or strategy, without knowing why you're doing it and what you want from that thing that you're doing. Because what Darren wants from one book is different from what we want from a funnel or from whatever. And everyone listening has a slightly different inventory, a slightly different, publishing calendar for the next year. Whatever it is, you really have to look at your creative assets and your business and know what you want to figure out how to get there.
Yeah, I agree with that, Sean. It's there's no actual singular answer for the whole group. We're all of our situations are different. When I was first writing this, trying to come up with a strategy that might work, and even watching some of your shows, and looking at some of the podcasts going on keyboards and everything, it was clear that there was no absolute agreement. And if we all knew the magic formula, we'd all put it out there. Well, at least I would. I wouldn't keep it secret.
But then it would change next week anyway, right? Yeah, it would change the next week anyway, and that's the thing. There's no the formula. If a formula is working, it's working for you there, then, now, at that time, because those variables have all synced with the equation that you want on the other side. But you've got to be willing to change all those, which is why we pivot.
Yeah, exactly why your serials, I mean, they were brilliant when they first come out, and you're still doing them with 47 North and everything like that. But I don't think anyone can copy that. I think that's you guys back. I think that's what you do. And it was actually it was introduced in a completely new way, wasn't it? Kind of like more TV than literature.
Yeah,
the way it's named. Yeah, and I mean that was it was fresh. It was original. I think that's why you did okay. When I did my previous launch strategy, it worked at the time, but things have moved on again. And I'll go back to when I asked you about what you think's changed in 2 years, and it's so much, because what we're talking about now in 6 months' time could be completely dead. But it's our jobs as business people as well as authors to try and keep on top of the game.
Yeah, and just the fact that we're all having these conversations. I mean, honestly, if you're listening to this show, if you're reading keyboards, if you're having intelligent conversations with other indie authors, you're already doing right things, because it is about understanding the environment, understanding the way authors are working and the way readers are reading, because that's something that we miss too. We're often so focused on how to get our books to rank and all of this stuff that we're not really paying attention to the readers, and they're the most important thing. It's not just about how do we treat them the best that we possibly can normally and on launch week, but how are they reading? A big part of the reason that Dave and I don't want to do serials right now, at least in the old way we did them, isn't just the commission structure. It's the fact that it's not as good a reading experience, and we know that. Once we saw what 47 North could do with the auto updates, we knew we were giving our readers a degraded experience, and it changes it. You don't want that. So pay attention to how readers are reading, and you'll do a better job creating the art that they want to consume.
All right, well, there was a natural little lull there, which makes me think that at an hour and 15 minutes, maybe we should finish up. Darren, what do you want people to know about? Where can they contact you?
I'm on Twitter, Darren Wearmouth. I'm on Facebook, Darren Wearmouth, and that's just about it, really. I'm always happy to hear from people, and always happy to talk to authors, and it's been brilliant meeting you guys. I've watched you for so long. You've been an inspiration to a lot of indies. You should never discount the influence that you've had on people. Even me. And thank you for being on the show, and it's been a pleasure.
Oh, thank you. That's so awesome.
We're about to trash all that goodwill with Better Off Undead.
Yeah, and that is WEAR mouth, not WARE. So there you go. I found that out in the chat over here. And Darren's book is First Activation. And I just have one final question for you, and that's, if your book started as an audiobook instead of as an actual physical book, have you ever considered getting it transcribed? Have you ever considered?
That's a reach.
I'm working. I know he listens, so it works. I would use Caption Access for that if I were to know that. Oh my God, our friends at Caption Access transcripts. I sent Bill an email. Bill's fun to work with. I said, hey Bill, it's, how Sean said before with Realm and Sands, it's raining books. Well, I said, hey, it's raining transcription work. I said, hey, Bill, so can you transcribe, we have 120 hours of content. Oh, and then there's also Fiction Unboxed. Is that cool? Can you get on that? He's like, okay, I guess we'll figure out how to do that.
Darren, would you like to be on Better Off Undead?
CaptionAccess.com. I have to finish the plug. Go ahead, Dave.
Yes, please.
Sorry, I just rolled right over it. It's that schedule change that we had that just threw me off.
I'd like to pause to reflect on an important moment in history. Do you know which important moment we're celebrating here today, gentlemen? This is the first time that anyone has ever requested to be on Better Off Undead.
Oh my goodness. Bro.
It has never happened before in the history.
People usually run screaming. Run screaming. We usually ask this in uncomfortable silence.
I had no idea.
Yeah. Wow.
We tricked you, Howie, into coming on.
How bad?
Yeah. Oh, he regretted that 5 seconds into it too.
We didn't trick him. I mean, we didn't lie to him or anything, but we asked him if he'd like to be on, and I don't think he
clearly
understood
didn't know the right answer.
He didn't know what he was getting into.
Correct answer is no, Hugh. The correct answer is no.
But he did hold his own, and he was just as dark as we are. So
fantastic on it. I thought it was great. He didn't share it. He didn't want anyone to know.
And that was wise of him.
It was wise. I've started referring to JohnnyBTruant.com today. I had to change. I don't even remember what it was, but at the top it said writing podcast or publishing podcast, and then it said Undead podcast, like along the top in my nav bar. And so I changed it to self-public because I had room and I removed something. Self-publishing podcast and worthless podcast. Like that's what it says now. Worthless podcast. I figure, well, I want to be on it.
The marketing for Better Off Undead is my favorite marketing that we do because it's just so stupid easy. It's like, don't go here, and there's skull and crossbones, and that's it. And it's really fun to play with that. There is no expectation, so whatever you do is fine.
So if you want more Darren Wearmouth, you can stick around for Better Off Undead, and
the uncensored in his underwear, Darren Wearmouth.
Right.
He says he's going to be naked, so
we're still reserved here. So that's fantastic. So I don't even know what to say, but thanks for listening to Self-Publishing Podcast. Join our Thunderclap. Get first activation. Work with caption access. There you go.
99designs.com.
Well, yeah, but we already did their plug. I mean, come on. We had Stephanie on, and she was so hot and sexy. Caption access.
Sound hot.
Tell them that you heard about us you heard about them on SPP, and they'll give you 30% off. And so that's it. And we'll talk to you next week. Thanks everybody for listening.